welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbein, joined every Monday and Wednesday by my main man, Stephen Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalk or anywhere you get your podcasts. Obviously, there is only one thing to talk about after yesterday, and that is the trade deadline and all the chaos that occurred within an hour and a half of that 4 p.m. deadline. Stuff at that point, I think everybody was ready to move on. Everybody was ready to chalk it up to another Steelers aren't doing anything, and I think it was understandable. And then absolute hell broke loose. It was a great hour and a half rush. But as usual, it's a nice crisp fall day out there, still rocking the 70s, so I haven't taken shorts off yet. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good, man. That was like, whew, it all just happened at once. Like, not even just for the Steelers. Like, everything just happened all at once yesterday.
Yeah.
I was leaving the facility yesterday. I was talking to Jeff Hathorn a little bit from 937 The Fan, and he was like, we were, moaning a little bit about like no trades for the Steelers. Like, man, why is that? And then all of a sudden I get home and shit just starts flying. So it was a fun day. Yeah, it was a whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind would be a good word to describe it. It was definitely fun. Like, it was not only just the Steelers, obviously you have the Chase Claypool trade, you have the William Jackson trade, but just everything else. Like you said, like Nyheim Hines coming in right at the buzzer on his way to Buffalo. You got Bradley Chubb heading to Miami. It was just trade after, and like it all came within like an hour. Like, it was nothing all day long.
I like kept refreshing Twitter, and it all just a new thing was popping up. The sneakiest, my favorite one though was Calvin Ridley being traded to the Jags after like being suspended for betting against the Jags for that's too perfect.
That's amazing, and it'll work. Like, if that works out to where Calvin Ridley and the Jags actually succeed and like somehow find their way back to Atlanta and like beat the like, talk about, that is just the life at that point. Like, the NFL could end, because that is the perfect representation of the life cycle in the NFL. Dumb rule gets you suspended, beats the team that you're suspended with the team that got you suspended. Absolutely beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, easily. Great sneak in there. There was a lot of good ones. Steelers fans, I think there was mixed emotions. I think everyone could agree that the second round compensation for Chase Claypool was good. That was probably about as good as you were going to get for a guy like that. He's a former second round pick. He's going to play next year on the last year of his rookie deal. Will say I did not see Chicago coming. I don't think anybody saw Chicago coming. Chase Claypool didn't see Chicago coming. He talked to the media 5 minutes before this trade happened about how good the energy was in Pittsburgh. But I think overall, I mean, good move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least in my opinion here.
Yeah, I mean, you got more than, I think you got more than you thought you would get. And credit to Omar Khan. I saw a report that the Bears came in with an offer that was less than a second round pick earlier this morning, and Omar said, no deal. And didn't back down and said, I want this, and he got it. That's huge. Like, that's a huge, and especially the fact that it's the Bears' own pick, not the Ravens pick from the Robert Quinn trade. Like, that's huge. That's first rounder light, basically. Like, that's not that's a second round pick, but it's towards the top of the second round. So the Steelers will get to kind of have like, that's, I think, 3 picks inside the top 45 probably. Come next spring. Like, that's huge for a team, especially at this point. Like, just at this stage in their life cycle, I guess you could call it. But just for where this franchise is at, like, stashing some draft picks that high in next year's draft is going to be huge.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, right now I think they sit 43. That second round pick sits, which is beautiful, because if the Steelers continue as they are, which you don't want to talk like that, but if they do continue as they are, they're looking at like the 3rd pick in the draft, the 3rd pick in the second round, and then what would that be? The 11th pick in the second round. That's about as good as that's the best draft order the Pittsburgh Steelers have had in 20 years, probably plus. at this point. Like you can't ask for much better than that. I think you're right. The fact that it was Chicago's, because at first when it was, reportedly Baltimore's, you looked at that and you went, oh, all right, well that's pretty much a third round pick. Like not great. Baltimore could turn this season into something great. They just got Roquan Smith, which is another very alarming trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers, not just now but for the future in the AFC North. But to come in there 43, perfect. There was like reports about, I saw Josina Anderson, you sent it to me actually, about him being a distraction. I don't know what a distraction is in this locker room at this point. I just think that the Steelers' value for Chase Claypool was as high as it was going to get. I don't think even come the draft. I've been a big proponent of, hey, push it out till the offseason and see what you can get come April. But I don't think you were getting better than a second round pick. I think that was pretty much exactly what they needed. I think now the question is, what does the offense do? Because you have Deontay Johnson, you have George Pickens, Calvin Austin shut down for the year. Is this a Steven Sims emergence in Pittsburgh? A little AB 82 instead of 84 for the Steelers in the end of this, in these last 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
Yeah. Well, I think so. First of all, I think Chase Claypool kind of did them a favor a little bit. Like he had a couple
Yeah.
solid weeks in a row. So he helped him out in that way. But yeah, he's also given them, I guess, a little room to experiment. Maybe you do like plug Steven Sims in there a lot more. I think he like showed that his speed is really valuable, especially in this offense that doesn't exactly have a ton. Maybe you go like two tight end sets with Gentry and Fryermuth and give Kenny somewhere easy to look at over the middle. They have some options. They can play around with them. We'll see what Matt Canada does with those options, but cool.
I love the look
Uh,
there when he said Matt Canada. It was
yeah,
a little
well,
skeptical.
like right, like I don't know, like he'll have options. We'll see what he does with them. I think you can leave it at that. But like, yeah, no, they I don't think they will. Just for where this team was at, like it's not a huge deal to have lost Chase. I think Chase was post playing well, but I think you kind of got what you were going to get out of him. I think this was like a mutually beneficial trade for everyone. Like Chase is going to get a change of environment. He's going to be able to play with a talented guy in Justin Fields, and the Steelers kind of the Steelers created some room and got a valuable asset in return for him.
Yeah, agreed. I think if anything, this is a good sign that at least at bare minimum, Omar Khan is sitting around going, all right, guys, look, I get that you want to live in your fantasy world where you're 2-6 and you're somehow going to turn this season around and everything's fine and you just got to keep fighting for now. And he's like, you keep doing that. I'm gonna look for next year and make sure that we're fine moving forward because we're screwed in 2022. I think that's the best thing that can, like, there was a lot of people that were starting to get critical on Omar Khan. Someone tweeted at me this morning actually, or yesterday morning, and said, oh, like trade Omar. It was like a list of things that they wanted to be traded, and one of them was trade Omar, bring Kevin back. And I was like, what did Omar Khan do wrong? Like he's done nothing in my opinion but good things. And then
Yeah.
he went out here and said, I do not care about this season. You're not going to lose this season. And even if they do turn it around, you're not going to lose because of Chase Claypool. I'm going to get a second round pick. Like I'm going to boost this team with the best decision possible. It beats anything that you could have imagined. The Green Bay Packers, this is a way better pick than you would have got with the Green Bay Packers. There was talks of the Kansas City Chiefs, way better pick than the Kansas City Chiefs. No matter who you named out there, nobody is as bad as the Chicago Bears that was willing to give up a second round pick for a guy that is not worth a second round pick. Easy win, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at least for Omar Khan. Like that's it. If there's any positives outside of the draft pick from this season, or outside of adding a second rounder from this season, it's that Omar Khan showed that he's capable of being a GM. At least that's what I took away from
Oh yeah, and I think that's a great way of putting it. Then that's a really good point. Like the highest compliment you can pay to Omar Khan in this trade is that he was being a realist. That he like
it.
understands where this team is at and what they need. And he went out and got it. I don't think Chase is a bad player, but just given where this team is, they just needed something different. They needed that pick more than they needed him.
Yeah, and he's not going to stick around. Like he's got one more year left on his rookie deal. He was a guy that was gone after 2023. You might as well with all those physical attributes, you might as well get something for him instead of just sitting around wasting. The
Mm.
other pick, or the other trade, William Jackson the third, 30-year-old out of Washington, played his first 4 years in Cincinnati, signed a 3-year, $40.5 million deal last offseason. There was reports all day leading up to the deadline that they were going to release him if they couldn't get a trade sign. He's got a back injury. Nobody was looking for him. The Steelers snuck in there right at the end, I think about 3 o'clock, and was like, hey, we'll give you a conditional sixth rounder. In return, we get William Jackson and a conditional seventh rounder, which replaces the conditional seventh rounder they sent to Minnesota for Jesse Davis. So really nothing. All these picks are in 2025, by the way, the lowest compensation you could give for a player at this point in the season. I mean, in my opinion, that's an easy win. There's financial stuff that we have to talk about moving forward, but right now in this season, a guy that could come in, play man, easy win, easy win.
Yeah. For the immediate future, I think you're exactly right. This was a painless trade. You addressed a position of need. It's a bit of a it's a bit of a wing and a prayer. Like you're hoping that I think you have some of his like PFF numbers there, but like you're hoping that he in a different system, kind of another change of scenery thing that a guy who's had some talent and been productive before can turn it around in a different system. But for the cost, it's kind of a no brainer.
Oh yeah, here I have the PFF numbers here. Now this is where it gets a little alarming. 2017, which is his first year, a 90.2, then it drops down to 73.4, 53.6, 71.4, 59.3, 49.6. And there's people that are talking about, oh well, Washington's a zone team and he's a man guy. Yes, I get it, but I think the numbers even before that are a little concerning. Like it's not like this guy was really good and then turned really bad. He was kind of like mediocre, somewhat above average, and then turned really bad. I think the biggest question, and we should get into the finances, but the biggest question is, what was Washington thinking when they were like, let's hand you 3 years, $40.5 million
Right.
in 2020, coming off a year where your PFF grade was a 71.4. I mean,
I think that
yikes.
just
But I
yeah,
mean, that's
that's the
Washington.
right. That's literally Washington. That's like this is what they do. Like I don't know. They're not a very smartly run football team. In a lot of ways.
No.
So the Steelers will have to kind of pay for that mistake in some senses, because it's 12 or 13 million this year,
No,
or
3 million this year. They walked out of
oh,
it 3.1 this year. Next year, if they decide to keep him, it's 12.75 million,
okay,
or they could cut him and it's a $9 million dead cap hit, which is not great. You don't want to lose $9 million over a cornerback. And if you keep him, I mean, that's only $3 more million. But still, that's not. I think that the financial aspects there is where it starts to become like, why didn't you just wait until
yeah,
he
until he
was
was
cut? I
released,
think,
and
yeah, that's my only issue with it. It's like people are like, oh well, you gave up nothing. It's like, no, you gave up $9 million next season, bare minimum, unless he turns into something crazy. Like,
mhm,
if he comes out here and he turns into a superstar right off the bat, and it's a Joe Hayden 2.0. I mean, that I'm all about that. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm not upset about it whatsoever.
yeah. I
But
had
I'd
someone
say
float.
30 years old is
I, yeah, I had someone float the idea of Joe Hayden 2.0 to me as like a bad thing. Like a friend of mine who's a
a
Steelers
bad
fan, and I
thing.
was like, well, like his tone was like, oh, this just feels like Joe Hayden 2.0 to me, and I'm like, you should hope so. Like
Yeah,
that
that
would be
worked out
sweet,
very well.
right?
That was a great deal.
Um,
Great deal. What
yeah.
did he get?
So
Two
like,
Pro Bowls? A Pro Bowl? Like
yeah,
that was great. That was the best cornerback you've had since like Taylor. If this is another
right.
Joe Hayden, the Steelers won this trade way more than we think that they did. If he
Mhm.
doesn't, he turns into be a 30-year-old bust who stinks at this point. That's $9 million that stinks to get rid of.
Yeah,
That's
down the drain.
yeah, down the drain. I'd say either way though. My overall outlook for November 1st, heading into the bye week, I feel a lot better than I did. Like if they did nothing, I would have looked at this team and went, "My gosh, they are just sinking with the ship," and they're just like, "Whatever, man. We're just gonna rock it out." And see what it is. At least they like address some needs. Like they need a cornerback. They got to get rid of Chase Claypool. I would say it was a win. I would definitely say it was a win.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about, the coaches, the assistant coaches talked offensively. Not news that Pittsburgh Steelers fans want to hear came out of it when it comes to the offensive coordinator and changes over the bye week. But, we'll get into all that. According to Jeff Hawthorne, who you mentioned earlier, if a change is going to come, it's going to come tomorrow. But according to Mike Sullivan, no change might be coming at all. Let's get into that. But first, we got a word from our boys over at Manscaped. It's never too early to play holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friend in your pants, you can make this a season to be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then, add Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack. So should you. Look nice when you get naughty by going to manscaped.com and using our code Steelers20 for free shipping and 20% off. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. It has everything needed to help you deck the halls from face to balls just in time for mistletoe season. The Platinum Package has each product from the best-selling Performance Package plus Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner, and the Ultra Premium Deodorant. It's the best way to smell fresh from your Santa hat to your candy cane. The Lawnmower 4.0 Body Trimmer and the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate presence. Plus, both are waterproof, so there's no issue clearing the snow out of your driveway. There's also a 4000K LED light, or a light on it, so you can light the way like Rudolph. Now that you've groomed your candy cane, it's time to make sure you don't smell like a reindeer with the Platinum Package's shower products. All of the Manscaped shower gel is sulfate-free, vegan, and made to have your skin feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. But smelling good doesn't stop at the shower. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner can solve stank problems all day long. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back. The Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree is guaranteed to put anybody in the holiday spirit, and for the perfect stocking stuffer, add in the brand new Body Buffer, an incredible body scrubber that makes exfoliating easy and a lot cleaner than that old loofah. Get 20% off and free shipping with our code Steelers20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com, and all you have to do is use our code Steelers20. Manscaped, get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. Gotta love it. Gotta love a good Manscaped ad read. The first one always gets me. I'm always a little winded afterwards, and then, we address to it. So we're going to play a Mike Sullivan clip. Oh, go ahead.
No, we just had some good Manscaped reads before. That one was credit to whoever wrote that. That was the most creative way of fitting in as many Christmas themed innuendos as possible. That was impressive.
It was amazing. I wish I didn't screw up on the Light Your Way like Rudolph, an incredible one. Santa cares for a sack. I don't even know what my favorite one is, to be honest with you.
Right.
Like they are all just there. It was a good one. They've come up with some real good ones. So go use our code Steelers20 Manscaped. I'm pretty sure they have Black Friday deals like all through November. So, and I use this. I use this stuff so much that it's literally sitting in my office. That's how much I use Manscaped. All right, let's talk about Mike Sullivan kind of crushing everybody's dreams. At least everybody that was hoping for a Matt Canada fire before the end of the bye week. This is what he had to say when asked if there's going to be coaching changes.
Responsibility. Is that going to happen after the bye or no?
No, we went through here and we've had very, very in-depth meetings, meeting with Coach T and meeting as an offensive staff. And I think first and foremost, it's taking a hard look at any and everything that we can do better, that we can try to get our guys in better positions and how we go about putting the game plan together. And and that's what the focus is going to be. We got 9 games left, and can't look at all of those. You just this particular week, how can we improve on the fundamentals, the techniques, and then taking a hard look at ourselves through the first 8 games, and hey, what have we been good at? What are the things that have been there for us? What have we struggled with? And if it's something that continually ends up being a bad play, then maybe those are the concepts you put to the back burner. If there are things that are going well, we got to find ways to do them more, and whether you change the formation, you change the personnel grouping, what have you. But that self-analysis is real critical for us at this time of the year.
Mike,
So obviously that's not what anybody wanted to hear. I didn't expect Mike Sullivan to come out here and say, "Oh, I'm going to be the new offensive coordinator." At the same time, you did get a pretty solid sense that there isn't any thought that Matt Canada will not be the offensive coordinator heading into week 9. I don't know, good thing, bad thing. What are your thoughts on it?
Um, yeah, it's not the only reason I'd say it's not great. Like I think I like you said, I didn't expect Mike Sullivan to announce himself as the new offensive coordinator or anything like that. But it's just it is I don't know. It's just like what changes are they actually serious about making? You know,
Exactly.
I keep hearing this. I keep hearing this like over and over about like we're ready to do anything and everything, like within our power to make this team better and to get on track and start trying to win games. And it's just where are these changes? Like where are these changes coming from? Who's making them? Like what have we done so far? And like what are we exploring? Maybe there's no one. It's entirely possible that Mike Sullivan is not an upgrade from Matt Canada. It's entirely possible that there's not a whole lot that they can do to make this team, which is very flawed in its own. Outside of Matt Canada, that there's very little that they can do to make it a meaningfully better team. But it's just tough to keep hearing about how they're ready to make changes. Everyone's ready to make changes, but just not right now. The changes can't be
Yep.
made right now. We've got to stick with the program right now. We're ready to make changes, but we just can't do them right now. And it's
Yep.
just when you hit the bye week, this is a convenient time to do it. And so I just, you wonder why not now? When are we going to get to the point where changes are going to be made? Because there haven't been meaningful improvements.
Yep. No, there's been none. And at this point, you look at that and you go, that's been the biggest issue. Like, it's not the how fast can you come into games or is your, game plan from the jump wrong. It's when changes need to be made and decisions need to be made and adjustments need to happen. Nobody's making adjustments. Nobody's making changes. They're just rocking with it and saying at some point it'll click. We're talking about all these major changes. Like it's like remember those commercials where they had the dollar bill at the end of the fishing line, and I think it was like Liberty Mutual or something. And you'd be like, "Oh, almost had it, almost had it." That's what it feels like. They're stringing along with Steelers fans every time that it seems like okay, this is a time where something needs to happen. We all see that every single person from the outside of this team sees all of these things going wrong, and the coaching staff just looks at it and goes, yeah, well, we're not ready. We're not ready to do that yet. And you're like, why? Like, if I could get it if half the fan base and half the media and half the analysis were like, okay, like, maybe you don't need to be this critical, or maybe you shouldn't rush these things. But when it's a collective, you just got to look at it and go, you guys have to be wrong because there's no way that every single one of us are wrong. And your record tells us that you're right. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, it seems I listened to the Matt Canada interview as well, and you got the vibe that he knows he's done after this season. But I just feel like that's just going to hurt things more. Like, if everybody understands that he's gone at the end of the year, how much motivation do you have to be good? Like, I don't have a bunch of pride in a job if I know that job's gone and nobody wants me there in 4 months. Like that's just you're just gonna walk your way through it and take all the criticism and show up on Thursdays and give crappy answers. And that kind of feels like what we're going through, right?
Yeah. And it's if you're a player, how seriously can you take the calls that Matt Canada is giving you, or the I don't know, the direction that he's giving you? If he seems like he's kind of a lame duck coach, quite honestly, like he's like if he's not, if he's not here, if he's not in the picture long term, if you can't see him having a future in Pittsburgh, like what motivation do you have to listen to him and to believe in him and to like have faith that he's a part of your future just as much as you're a part of the team's future?
I just don't think you could. Like, there's the argument of, well, Kenny doesn't need to have three offensive coordinators. And I think we talked about this on Monday. I don't follow that argument because I feel it's a lot worse to have one ridiculously bad offensive coordinator that doesn't care about you at all than to have three in 2 seasons. And I don't know, like Sullivan also went on to talk about like, oh, there's good in Kenny, but like it was no like, oh, he's doing this well, he's doing it was just like, yeah, he's a leader. There's nothing too big for him. It's like we knew that already. That's why he got drafted. The issues are not the fact that he's standing in the pocket and getting smoked and then standing back up. The issues is that he's missing wide open receivers or throwing the ball 4 yards over Pat Fryermuth's head, leading to interceptions. And there's nothing in the realm of these coaches that say, oh well, he looks like he's going to adjust well to that, which is even more concerning because now you're starting to think, how good can Kenny really be? Because the coaches don't even see anything outside of his intangibles, and you need way more than intangibles if you're playing quarterback. Like anybody could be a leader. Duck Hodges was a leader. He wasn't a good quarterback. He was a leader, but he wasn't a good quarterback. So super concerning. Super concerning. Do you expect a shocker tomorrow? Do you expect us to wake up to any crazy news? Thursday is where I did fall on the if it was going to happen, it was going to happen Thursday. That avoids all the headlines. I don't think the Steelers care at all about a practice. And the fact that Chase Claypool practiced with the first team and then an hour and a half later was traded proves my theory right that they do not care about these practices. So Thursday would be my guess. Do you think there's any shocking news coming?
I wouldn't. I would be shocked by it, but I wouldn't be shocked in like I never saw this coming. It would be more of a I didn't think they would. Like if I had put money on it, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on any shocking news coming on Thursday, but I wouldn't be shocked to see it.
You
Yeah,
keep
and
saying
I
I'm not a
think you.
betting man, like you didn't just put the FanDuel app down 4 days ago.
Well, I'm not a betting man anymore. Okay, I've not anymore.
Okay.
But like it's
Okay.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the practice thing. Like there's nothing holding them back from making this move now.
No.
Like at this point in an NFL season, everything's kind of mental. Like there's no like, and I wouldn't have expected them to, uh, completely change their offense, even if they do get rid of Matt Canada, even if they did it like beginning of this week. Like a lot of this stuff is just going to be tweaks, and it's going to be the application of the playbook as opposed to overhauling the playbook itself.
Yep.
So yeah,
And you're not going to
there's
change
nothing
that.
holding.
You're not going to change that in 2 days, anyways. Like you're not going to
No,
install a new offense and be like, "Go ahead." It's just going to come down to play calling. Like that's all it's going to
right.
be.
Yeah, it's gonna be the application. Yeah, like the use of what you already know instead
Mhm.
of just reinventing what you know. So, but to that point, like there's nothing holding them back from doing it on Thursday. Like I can't think of a good reason why they
No,
can't
no,
or shouldn't. Honestly,
no. Mike Sullivan sounded very confident. If I woke up on Thursday and I had to write a Matt Canada was fired article, it would not shock me even in the slightest. Would it not
Mhm.
shock me? Because there's just nothing left, Like there's just nothing left. At this point, you have to start. First off, Mike Tomlin doesn't make that decision. Mike Tomlin does not walk into his office and go, I'm firing Matt Canada today. Like that doesn't,
right.
that's not how the chain of events here works. It's going to
Mhm.
start with Omar Khan addressing it to Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's going to talk with him. They're going to decide, and then Art Rooney gets the final call. But I bet you Art Rooney got the first call and just told Omar, "Hey, have this conversation with Mike," and then it goes through the process. So it's not Mike Tomlin's decision, but I think that Chase Claypool trade, the William Jackson trade, just kind of in my head insinuated like yeah, okay, maybe they did have really good meetings on Monday, but Omar Khan wasn't in those meetings. Art Rooney wasn't in those meetings. That was just the coaching staff trying to get each other all amped up. Meanwhile, everybody else is sitting around going, all right, look, if we do this on Thursday, there can't be any headlines outside of the headline. Like, it's just the initial headline. There's no interviews. We can't talk to players, nothing. You got to go a whole weekend. At that point, nobody cares about the Matt Canada firing by Monday, and then by the time Tomlin talks on Tuesday, like, he doesn't have to address that. So I think you're right. Like, it would be shocking, but I could see it coming. And I think every Steelers fan is going to listen to this and go, yeah, I hope you're right. There's a part of me that hopes we're right. I think that it's time, and I'm kind of getting tired of talking about the same nonsense every single week. At this, like, at least give me new nonsense. Like,
Right.
let me actually evaluate Kenny Pickett, or be like, oh, okay, well, like, here are the options for the new offensive coordinator, instead of just like, how long is Matt Canada going to drag this out, and we're just going to sit around talking about how terrible this team is for the next 8 months. So
Right.
it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll see what Thursday happens. Let's hope for good news. Let's hope for, positive news. I don't want to say that's good news. I don't want anybody to ever lose their job.
No.
But some people, there's only 32 of those jobs, so it's a lot. You can't have a low bar. You got to have a high bar, and you have to be very critical about that bar, obviously.
Right.
All right.
Great.
We're heading out of here. Oh, do you got last comments?
No, you're all good.
All right, we're heading out of here. Hopefully by Friday, when me and Derek are on here, everything's good. If not, it's okay. We'll walk you through it. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts. I was about to say, go use our Manscaped code. So anywhere you get Manscaped products, go use our Manscaped code at manscaped.com.
Yes.
And find all of mine and Steven's work at allsteelers.com. Like I said, I will be back on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your bye week. Peace.